Locked in tradition, shocking Middle Eastern laws trapping women at home. In a grim reflection of the persistent gender inequality in the Middle East and North Africa or MENA region, women continue to be shackled by oppressive laws that limit their freedoms and opportunities. According to a report by the Georgetown Institute for Women, Peace, and Security, the MENA region hosts at least seven of the world's worst countries to be a woman. In a chilling testimony, Aya, a nearly 30-year-old Jordanian woman, revealed to The Guardian the debilitating restrictions she faces under male guardianship laws. Quote, I am a prisoner at home, she stated. If I go without my family's knowledge, they'll lock me in a room and beat me so hard that I'll feel pain for months. I'm threatened with death. Echoing Aya's statement, Lina, another Jordanian woman, detailed her forced confinement, despite being a significant breadwinner in her family. Quote, you have a spectrum of women who are controlled. Some have curfew, but other women can't even see their friends at a cafe. You have no ability to have a social life in that respect. um, Lamented Rothna Begum, a senior researcher at the Human Rights Watch. The grim realities of these women underscores the urgent need for legal reforms in the championing of women's rights in the region. So, I wanted to cover this because so the Guardian profiled several women, actually particularly in Jordan, who are forcibly confined to their homes and interviewed them about their experiences, obviously with fake names. Um, and they were also highlighting an extensive report that was recently published by Human Rights Watch. And I read a significant portion of this full report. This is like over 100 pages detailing and breaking down laws that control women's freedom of movement across the entire region. Very, very detailed. And so I can talk a little bit about the specifics of that report if you're interested. But I was really moved in particular by the stories of these women and what they talked about, because it's one thing for you to hear about that these things exist on the books, and it's another thing to hear about women who are actually living it, and they have zero, like close to no or no legal recourse. And by law they're trapped there. And there was one woman who was interviewed, and she literally earns more money than everyone in her family through an online job that she has. But she is not allowed to leave the house. She had to beg her family to let her go to an online university that only required her to be in person twice a month max, only to do exams. And her family didn't want to let her do even that. Finally, they let her. It's like, okay, if my dad escorts you. The other thing is that this woman earns the most money out of everyone in her family. So she's like basically the prominent breadwinner of her family. And she even turned down a promotion because she didn't think that she had the social skills required to excel in the role that her job wanted to give her. Basically saying, I am so poorly socialized because I'm never allowed to leave the house that I don't think I can actually excel in this job because of the complete lack of socialization. Um, and I mean, it's really, really rough. These women just talk about how basically they just fantasize about self-deletion, because even when they leave their family's home, when one day they get married, it's just gonna be the same life. It's just going to be the same life. They can't even go out to go to a cafe with their own female friends. The level of tight control, and they have no legal recourse. Um, and I thought this was really important to highlight because a lot of people, I don't know, I feel like they forget that how stringent the male guardianship system is in these countries, or the different forms that it can take. How it completely infantilizes women, even grown women traveling with their children, like, are not allowed to go anywhere without the guy checking your ticket on the plane literally being like, where is your husband right now, to tell you that it's okay that you travel with your own children. It's like, I'm not a minor. I'm in my 30s. I'm a mother. My husband dropped me off at the airport. This is one of the stories. Like, what do you mean, where's my husband, to tell you as you're checking my ticket that I have his permission? Like, he it it's so infantilizing. It's against every I mean, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, a lot of it is self-explanatory. Obviously, it's against freedom of movement. It's against any international treaty on gender equality. And it also, when you think about it, um, inflicts a significant socioeconomic damage upon these countries themselves. Because how is a woman supposed to go out and earn when there are people patrolling and saying, actually, where's your husband? Blah, blah, blah. But like, what if your husband needs to work too? How is he supposed to take the time out of his day to transport you to work and back? Or like, what is he supposed to stand over his shoulder while you're working? Like, no, he has to earn too. So there's so many consequences to policies like this. Um, but Armin, what do you think?
Well, they make apps for that. So that you get your husband can give you permission, remove the permission for different activities, and you have the app to prove it. There used to be apps for this, right? So to make it more convenient for
It
your
probably
husband
depends
or
on
the
the country.
father. Yeah, it depends on the country, obviously. But I remember one person who ran away. Um, she hacked into her father's phone, to change the permission so she could get on a plane and run away from the country, and she was successful.
Wow.
So there's that.
Wow.
Yeah,
But the lengths that you have to go to is
yeah,
absurd. And it
yeah.
just makes
It,
me
mm,
so upset. Like, oh my God. I was talking about this before the show where when I was reading the whole report, I was like, I just couldn't get over the fact. I'm like, this is so backwards. This is so backwards. And what, we're not supposed to talk about that here in America? We're not supposed to have an honest discussion calling this what it is? Talk about betrayal. Talk about betrayal. Where the F are our priorities? People are going to tell me because of the color of my skin and where I come from that I'm not supposed to talk about this, that I'm not supposed to call it what it is, which is backwards, even though I'm a woman and I have an interest as a human being, fuck being a woman, I have an interest in the safety, security, and freedom of movement of any vulnerable citizen in the world. Fuck what anyone tells you, females are more vulnerable, right? And it reminds me of this article that was written by my friend Omema, who comes from a Salafist background. And it was her going to a debate between Roxanne Gay, that feminist, and I think it was maybe Christina Thompson. I can't remember the other feminist name. But basically, Roxanne Gay, this so called feminist, when asked about, oh, if we should speak on behalf of what Saudi women are going through, she said, no, it's not our place. They can speak for themselves. They literally can't. You're telling me these Jordanian women who are threatened with honor violence on a daily basis can speak for themselves and fight for their own rights when the entire system is systematically against them? There's so many in this report. It was going through just example after example after example of, if you try to run away, you'll be brought back. If you're shown, your husband can report your disobedience to the police in many countries. And then you have the gall to say these women can speak for themselves. And I'm not trying to take someone's voice away from them. I'm being pragmatic, right? I'm being pragmatic. Some women are willing to face those consequences, right? But the vast majority probably aren't, because it's a threat to their literal life. And to expect women to be like, where's your voice? Speak for yourself. When the threat is death and consistent domestic abuse that shatters your psyche And you're just going to be like, oh, I actually can't speak for them. It's not my place. It's a betrayal and it's shameful and it's disgusting. And we should have the gall to just be like, yeah, this is freaking backwards. Like, it makes me so angry when I hear issues like this. When I started doing Atheist Republic very early on, when I still had a Twitter before I got banned, this is a little bit of a personal story and I might get emotional. Um, I was contacted by a 17-year-old girl in Saudi Arabia who was an ex-Muslim atheist. And this 17-year-old girl would send me photographs of how badly she was being beaten by her father and brother and begging me to help her escape. And there were a couple other details, and I obviously can't share the details. And it was heartbreaking because she was going to be forcibly married, but she was 17. And considering that she's legally a minor, there is very little that I can do for her. Because if I try to help her in her case in certain ways, that can be considered trafficking a minor. There's very little that I can do for her. Besides just being like, what can we try to do to figure out basically until you get old enough, until maybe I can help you. But she doesn't have the luxury of that time. And I see what they're doing to her physically. You know? And I connected her to as many resources as I could. I tried to talk to people that were more experienced to see what we could do. And it's like literally like, she's too young. What can we do? Legally, like it's too dicey. We can't take over right now. And it made me so heartbroken. I don't know what happened to her. And at the same time, because this was early on in my activism, I was losing all of my friends because they didn't like what I had to say. They didn't, I don't know what they thought about what I was promoting. Maybe they think I was going far right or some nonsense or promoting bigotry or something. And when I would see the damage done to her body, what surprised me is that the emotional reaction that I would have is the person that I was most angry at were all the people who were abandoning me as a friend, even though they had previously told me that my friendship and sympathy and empathy towards them had saved their life, throwing away some of the most valuable relationships I'd had in my life at that point. I was so furious at them because I'm like, where are your values? You hate me? You are leaving me behind as a friend because you're too scared to be guilty by association to be a friend of mine? Because I'm standing up for a child like this? It's that level of, like, betrayal of these people. These are, like, left-leaning, super progressive, LGBT, so-called feminists themselves. Themselves. They have the gall to tell me that I'm hateful. Sometimes it's still really makes me upset. The lack of integrity. Because I had some friends who would tell me when we were having private conversations where they were concerned, they'd have a call in. They'd be concerned and they want to talk to me about what I'd been saying online. promoting at Atheist Republic. And privately, they'd be like, Susanna, I agree with you. But publicly, it was more important for them to remain popular and not be canceled among their own friend group than to actually have some integrity. It still gets to me.
Seems
I don't
like
know.
it's um it seems like some people have had the same experience as you with their circle of friends. So I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Because
saw in the
what I have to, at the end of the day, I'm like, people can say what they want about me. They can believe what they want about me and what I do. But I just have to know within myself that maybe you think I'm a complete dumbass, but I I have some freaking integrity within my own personal character. Maybe you don't like what I have to say, but I have enough integrity. And honestly, it was Armin. You're the one that inspired me to be this way the most. Because the reason why you were originally like my hero is because I was, especially at where I was 3 years ago, it was so unusual for me to see someone who was willing to say what they believed to be true before saying what was popular. And I was like, I want to be like that. I want to say what I think is true, even if it comes at the cost of what's popular.
I remember the times that you were going through this. I'm not going to share details because I haven't checked with you if I can, but it wasn't an easy time for you. But I do want to say that you came because when you used to talk about this, first of all, you used to talk about this privately. You would, I didn't even think you would ever come up and say this openly to anybody. This was like a while back, and you were devastated. But now you talk about it more in a sense of, you know, from a position of strength and anger, rather than somebody that, that has been hurt. Somebody then is somebody you are more sure, because before I remember you were not sure maybe if you have made the right decision, and these people who had left you were kind of torn. Have you made the right decision or not? And you were so sad to lose such valuable people in your life. But now you don't seem so iffy about it. You know that it was worth it. You're standing your ground. It was worth the cost. um
It's
and
easily worth the
I just,
cost. It's easily worth the
yeah,
cost. Someone needs to talk about these things. Like, so
yeah.
to prepare for this news, I have a friend that lives in Jordan. So I asked him his opinion about this news story in Jordan. And he said, it's so great that you guys cover this, because if our media here covers it, then there will be a movement against them saying that they are against Islam. So even within
Mm,
our own culture, you want to talk about speak for yourself, be your own voice, all this stuff. Even within our own culture, we can't because of the Islamism, right? So we need outside people to talk about it. And then if you guys don't talk about it because of PC nonsense, then no one's talking about it. And these women are left abandoned to confinement and suicidal ideation.
mm,
So I would do it all over again. I don't regret a thing. When
mm.
I mean, I can't give the details, right? But we have women like in our community in Iran that have sacrificed and faced hell,
Yeah.
right? And in the face of that, I don't want anyone else to call me brave. I don't want anyone else to ever call me courageous.
Well,
It's
but
worth
you're
it
a lot
all.
stronger. But you are a lot stronger than before, right? You used to be
Oh yeah.
devastated about this, yeah. But you are, I'm so proud of how much you've grown regarding this issue that, before. It's like night and day, you right now compared to you before about the same topic. um I don't know. I don't know if you've seen. the change? Do you notice the personal growth you have made over this topic? Yeah, I feel like you're a lot more fierce and stronger than just like 2 years ago. Yeah. Anyways,
Sorry
mm,
for the personal tangent.
oh, thank you guys. I like the support. Thank you, Oxymoron, and everyone else in the chat.
Oxymoron is saying
Lina.
Atheist Republic is a very brave organization in general. And I love that because he hates our opinions and thinks we're dumbasses sometimes. But even he's like, okay,
But
you know what? I might think they're dumbasses, but they have integrity within their dumbassery.